What's up, everybody? It is that time again. I want to talk about a couple of things in this particular vlog. First of all, I want to remind us of one of the things that I hold very, very dear. I'm definitely someone who practices what they preach. And one of the things that I preach and I truly believe in is the free flow and share of information. Even if it is information that I may not necessarily agree with, even if the style and the delivery is not something that is what or how I would present it. But see, I totally get that because we are so many different people from so many different spheres of consciousness, awareness, with different backstories, different tastes, different flavors. For this reason alone, it is absolutely imperative that we remain open to receiving information from as many channels, vessels, portals as possible. There's an old saying that goes, my people suffer due to lack of knowledge. So if people are behaving and carrying on in a way that is of a detriment to themselves and to their greater community, chances are it is because they did not or they do not have the knowledge. So if there is someone or a group or entity or what have you who's holding back the free flow of information, who's blocking it off from anybody who could use it, to me, they are a part of the problem. It is not my place to decide what information should get to this person, that person, and this person. Because again, I truly ultrastand that given the nature of this sphere, this collective sphere of consciousness, it is very important that we be open, we remain open, and allow the process to be what it is. People will get in where they fit in for a time, a season, or what have you. But if I were to haphazardly decide that, oh, well, I'm not going to share this over here because I don't like the way that person look, I don't like the way they articulate, I don't agree with what they're saying, I could be impeding and blocking someone else from progressing, because when it's all said and done, we are unconsciously and consciously affecting the whole, whether we know it or not. So why would I have this awareness, this revelation, and not act on it accordingly? So if one finds that Astralboobaby thumbed up or featured a video and the information in the video is allegedly false or has been cited or deemed as faulty information for whatever reason, it may or may not be true, but I'm just saying, for example, that is not a reflection on Astralboobaby. That is not a reflection on Astralboobaby, and it does not mean that Astralboobaby agreed with what has been shared. I am a supporter of the free flow of information. I cannot stress this enough. And so there are brothers and sisters out there who are sharing and expressing and doing them. And some of them, many of them, most of them, because of the way I think, I can see truth in everything. I can see good in everything. I can see positive in everything, and I can see the not so positive. My good friend Charlotte, she tells me all the time, and this is something I had to work on. I'm one of those people who has always liked to see, I look for the positive in people first and foremost. But now, I almost have panoramic vision. I see the whole scale, the entire spectrum. But I'm not foolish enough to think that everybody is going or are going to see things the way I see it. So when we come across a brother or sister who is doing them and expressing and giving, sharing information in the way that suits them and that is them, then what we do is simply sit back and try to work on being as neutral and as biased as possible when we come across anyone. Even if we're reading a book, it does not matter. Information is information. When we're listening to a song, that is a form of information. When we're looking at dance, that is a form of information being communicated. When we're looking at art, that is a form of information being communicated. Does not matter whether we are consciously aware of it or not. But if we remain as neutral as possible when coming before it, and if we feel something, be it a resonance or nothing, then it is what it is. We will have gained something from it, or we may not. We simply move on. There's no need, no reason to attack, to bash, to demean someone because of their style, their flavor. A lot of brothers and sisters who they're very, very powerful use a lot of what we call profanity. A lot of colorful language. I like some of these brothers and sisters. I like the way they do what they do. You may not see how and why Astralboobaby would be interested in people who communicate in that way, because you've never heard me use colorful language, but I do. I use colorful language, but I made a conscious decision not to use it in my videos because I am the master of my own destiny and I like to set a tone and I decide when and where I use different aspects of myself and express different aspects of myself. I chose not to use colorful language in my videos because out of respect for elders and the very young children, the young people who watch me. Because on one side it's about the respect, but for the children it's about showing them something different, that there are adults in the world who can express themselves and get a point across without the profanity, because there's more than enough of that in the world. I like to consider myself somewhat like I'm kind of like an equilibrium. A lot of decisions that I make is all about contributing to balance within the collective. Now, when I'm with my family and my friends, my peers, I give all of who I am in the way that I communicate because they get it and they truly know me. And these are people who have more of a balance in perspective as well. And so I can be more fluid with them. So there is a method to everything that I do and that I present. And I will continue to use my voice, my platform, to share information based on my own revelations, my experiences, wisdom that I've gained through the hard knocks of life or from the hard knocks of life. And I will continue showcasing and bringing brothers and sisters to the forefront as well. I'm not afraid of sharing information that may contradict my own. Yes, I will share information and people who present and support and resonate with what I share, but I'm not afraid of the opposite either. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I want you guys to truly understand the importance of being true, being honest, being open, exercising discipline, at certain points and at the right time, exercising restraint and control. But I also want us to start becoming more fluid. And there's a time and place for it all. This is what we mean when we talk about balance, exercising balance within our own sphere of consciousness and how we can contribute to the balance of the collective. And speaking of balance, that brings me to the next thing that I want to talk about. And that is something that some of us are really starting to get, but there are not enough of us who are really getting how we are creating the life that we see. I come from the ghettos of Washington, D.C., and I grew up seeing some of everything you can imagine. I wasn't very popular at all. I was the black sheep. I was the one no one wanted to be friend with. No one wanted to be my friend. I was the one who would hear adults basically say that I would basically fall through the cracks, that I wouldn't make it in life. Why? Because I did not bend and hide my authentic expression. I had a way of thinking and a way of expressing myself, and still do, that is not considered the norm. It's not sexy or beautiful based on the norm. It's not popular. It's not manly. I've heard that more than enough. But you know what? While other people were following these social expectations and definitions and molding and hiding and suppressing their authentic self or what have you, I kept my head up and I kept on doing me, just as I do to this very day. And one of the things that I've learned along the way is that when we live in truth, no matter how many people approve or disapprove of it, we're going to make it in the long run. I say it all the time. I am someone who defies the odds. I always have and I always will, because the way I think and the way I am is not up for compromise, and it's not up for popular opinion and for popular approval. I use my life as a living witness and testimony, my expression, to teach by example. And one of the things that I have shown by example is that against tremendous odds, I have managed to become very successful when most people around me told me that I would not, and didn't even give me the time of day to develop, mentor me, or give me guidance and wisdom that can bring out the very best in me. There were people who came along here and there, but for the most part, I did not get the consideration that I saw my peers get. And when we look at where those brothers and sisters are versus where I am, the proof is in the pudding. And that's not to say that I have not had setbacks and challenges. Of course I have. As a matter of fact, when you are someone who is seen as going against the grain and the black sheep, you're going to have more of that than the average person. But again, keeping one's eyes on the prize and looking at what is it that I'm doing in my life right now that I don't like. How am I contributing to this? How am I creating this? I'm real enough to do that with myself. I've just had to come to two realizations about myself that I was creating. I was blocking the law of allowance because I am used to being the person to give and do for other people. I'm used to being the provider, the nurturer, the person who helped. And I was very uncomfortable receiving that. But some things had happened in my life to bring me down and to force me to look at something that I did not like about myself. I was out of balance with the law of allowance, and I have made changes because of it. I took responsibility for my creation, and I have made changes because of it, and already I'm seeing a difference in my life. I make changes. This is what a wise person does. A wise person look at themselves, flaws and all, love all of what is there, accept and embrace all of what is there, and accept the consequences of that. And if there is something about those things that I or you or anyone else does not like, not what someone else tells you that you should not like, it's about what I or you like, because we are the gods of our creation. We are the masters of our universe. And this is the absolute truth. Now, if we relinquish that power to an external force or external sources, we are still responsible for that. Now, when I look at the community that I come from, and I still see people who are still, they're still where they were when I was 14, 15 years old, the majority of them. And it makes me wonder, wow, these were people who were popular, who were socially accepted. They had people throwing opportunities at them right to left. They had the love and support. They had it all. But why are they still where they are? And why had I, against tremendous odds, made it to where I am and clearly have a vision of where I will soon be? What has happened? Why is there such a vast difference? You see, family and friends, sometimes the very things that we think are terrible and bad or curses or even a burden really are blessings in disguise. This is where we learn the most. This is where we grow the most. This is where we get most of our best knowledge. And this is the kind of knowledge that is earth-changing, life-changing if applied. I see so many people who walk around suppressing their authentic self, all the secrets, the shame, the guilt, the resentment, the hate. There is a reason why people who harbor deep resentment towards someone for no reason, it's totally irrational, no outward reason there is. There's a reason for everything, but there's no rational or justified reason for it. The racist who hates so-called black people, it's no coincidence that many of them will have children who will end up going after and chasing black people and then end up having mixed children. There's no coincidence that those who have a resentment and hatred towards their children's father will have that son who looks just like that father, and the mother takes her anger and frustration, chastise and beat down and destroy that child's self-esteem in the process. There is a reason why people who have this irrational hatred and anger towards people who are gay, especially the religious community, and have so much shame and fear around sex and sexuality. The preacher's daughters and sons tend to be the biggest freaks, and I'm talking from experience, and y'all know I'm telling nothing but the truth. They tend to be the biggest secret freaks, and the people who are homophobic, hating the gays, tend to have gay children. I can go on and on and on. It is because it's quite simple, but again, a lot of us have not figured it out. As in co-creating our reality, that which we suppress, that which we hide, we suppress, that which we resent and hate, We will either draw it to our doorstep through a life lesson or experience, or it will come out through our seeds. Quick sidebar. For those of us who may not know, the word seeds is short or synonymous to offsprings or children. Think about every single person you know who is out of balance in any of those areas, and look at their life and look at the children. The proof is right there. The evidence is right there. And these same people will complain and be angry at the result, the symptom of a greater problem that they are creating or contributing to. Tell me I'm lying. It's nothing but the truth. Being a kid, a child who was very observant, when I was coming up, I was quiet and shy, but I observed and learned a lot. You learn a lot about people when you simply close your mouth and just pay attention. Don't look at what people say. Look at what they do. And how soon do we forget, speaking of do, the brothers and sisters who are out there trying to wake and teach others who are lost, scared, and confused. When we condemn others, when we talk down and we're condescending to others who are where we were not long ago. How soon do we forget? And so when we do that, when we start condemning and bashing people because they have not yet gotten to a level or gotten to a state of awareness where they are doing better than they were before, we want to call them names and disrespect them and marginalize them. And guess what? There's a ripple effect in that, and we will end up, again, attracting the very thing that we are projecting on towards others or on to others. One thing about me, I am an equal opportunity enjoyer. I can get along with anybody. I have gotten along with anybody in my older, wiser years. But of course, I know that everyone is not going to give me that same courtesy, and that's all right. But it's a true testament of my growth. A true testament of all that I share, all that I am, and all that I speak of. So I ask you, starting today, look in that mirror, go deep down inside, and look at the life that you had, the reflection. This is kind of a continuation of my last video. The reflection that you see, do you like it? If you don't like it, you don't like it, not if someone else don't like it. And if you see better for yourself and want better for yourself, you have to begin by learning to let go of the hate, the anger, the resentment, the shame, the guilt, the fear. All of these factors in a continued state. Now, there's nothing wrong with having those qualities here and there. There's a time and place for everything. But to be in this state continuously, you're basically putting up barriers. You're putting up blockages. You're creating resistance in your life. And no one truly grows in a perpetual state of resistance. It's almost like a prison within a prison within a prison. To get out and grow and expand, you have to come up and out. You have to be willing to take chances, and you have to learn the law of integration. Integration does not mean giving up who you are. It simply means being willing to be who you are while allowing and respecting others to be them without fear, without resentment, without hatred, without anger. And on that note, be more.